Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Minnesota Rackstars podcast. And this week, we have family and friends together, and we are going out shed hunting. It's our annual family and friends shed hunt. It's something we look forward to every single year, and it's going to be kind of a two-part series. The first part is pre-shed hunt, and then the second part will be the post-shed hunt. So it's pretty fun. It's a lot of good stories, and I hope you guys enjoy. All right, I think we're live here. We're at the Call residence, and this is our fourth or fifth annual shed hunt, family and friends shed hunt. Today I got with me Mike, we got Pete, and Travis. We're pretty jacked up that we're going to be going out and find some sheds here. First of all, I want to give a shout out if you're watching on YouTube. We got our partners up in front. They've provided us with some cool gifts to give away to people who find sheds. And we got a little scoring system this year on finding sheds. You get so many points per shed found. And every shed's going to have a different point value. But as far as, I don't know, what does it look like out there, Travis, as far as sheds are concerned?
We'll find a few. It's going to be a better year than most years, I think. Nothing real big, but there's a decent amount of bucks around.
Yeah, we've been kind of monitoring our trail cameras. Throughout the year, we've had them on cell mode to kind of figure out when the good time's going to be. You know, everybody's got a different schedule, and it's tough to line everybody up on one particular day to get everybody here to enjoy it because it is a blast. But the last 2 weekends have been phenomenal. I mean, it's been 50, 60 degrees, no wind, just beautiful out. And today it's, March 16th? I think it's March 16th today. We have 38 degrees and about 30-mile-an-hour winds outside. But, we've had some worse conditions before, but we're going to be out in some good cover, so it won't be too bad for us. Right now, you might be able to hear in the background, we got so many things going on right now. We got people in the back, they're getting food ready for later. We got people in a batting cage right now taking BP.
Here we go. Byron Buxton.
Yeah. But, Pete, you were out doing some timber work yesterday, and why don't you tell everybody what happened out there yesterday?
We're clear cutting like a 3-acre block of woods just for regrowth and bedding, and then we're going to put in a new stand location there. So we've been working on that for the last couple months. And then my brother was supposed to be cutting lumber, but he decided to go for a walk. And he was checking on our pine trees, and he ended up finding 3 sheds yesterday, which was pretty cool. And I wasn't actually expecting to find a lot of sheds up there this year because usually we need snow to push them to really yard up heavy, which usually helps us up there because we have all the oaks and everything. So, so all 3 of them are all left side, so we should be able to find some more, I think.
You know, I saw in his story that he was walking, and all of a sudden there was 2 sheds laying right there. I'm like, oh, he found a match set. It wasn't a match.
No, he didn't know that either until he sent it to me on Snapchat, and I was like, that's not. He's like, what's the odds I found a match set? I'm like, that's not a match. That's 2 left. He's like, really? Well, I got to find the rest of them. So and then he left him there. I was like, well, send me closer pictures. I left him there so I can go back to that area. I'm like, go pick him up.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, that was cool. That was the first sheds he's ever found on our property, so I was happy for him.
Yeah, no, Patio gets pretty fired up about it. It seems to me, Travis, that every time it gets close to hunting or shed hunting, there's always a curveball thrown at you on like this permission property we're going to go to. What was the curveball thrown at us as far as shed hunting goes this year?
So they're logging out there. So they logged they on and off the last few years, different areas of it. But this year, so everything basically got logged once. This year they're doing a select log or select cut. So they go down where they did log, and they just pick random trees. So they're covering more area and taking trees out, but just they go through there with these big machines, I don't know, the cutters and stuff, and the pullers that drag the trees out, and it just rips everything up and scares the deer out. It's like those spots are going to be I don't think they've been doing that they're still going for now until 3 weeks ago they started. So those areas are going to be kind of, and actually a couple good areas where we typically find sheds, that's where they're going. So it's definitely pushed around a bit.
So what we did prior to them getting in there and logging, we went through to kind of pick through to see if we can find some sheds in there already, because when they go through the log, they're throwing branches down and stuff, and I mean, they would be covering up some sheds. So we've actually found a few sheds already going out there. How many you got so far, roughly?
I think 8.
Okay.
You see how that works, Mike? He pre-picked ahead of us.
He did. Well, he left the little ones out there.
He
for
left
us,
the
right?
scraps
Yeah.
for us.
So there's a
What he doesn't realize, less points gets you better prizes.
So there was the ones we found where they're going to log, which they would have got wrecked. And there's a couple we've seen driving around the side-by-sides and stuff. And so we'd pick them up, and now we're going to let the kids find them again, just to make it a little more enjoyable.
Yeah. And I mean, you found some just cruising around on the side-by-side right off the side of the trail and whatnot.
I'm not going to let them sit and let the squirrels chew on them. We'll keep them safe till today.
Yeah. Well, that way, too. I mean, like you said, today it's 38, 39 degrees, sustaining 15 to 25 with gusts in the 30 mile an hour. The kids are going to go out for a couple hours, but then they're going to get tired and want to come back this way. So we're going to get them on some sheds where we kind of know where they're at. To get them excited. I know my girl's been looking forward to this day for a while, and I'm sure your kids have too. Mike, you guys had a little shed hunting, bad news over on your property here the other day.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I've been thinking about it, and it's not necessarily bad news because we know he's still around. But
right.
The big boy that we had on camera this year was found on the property to the east of us. Found the matching set. They're both there, and haven't seen him in person yet, but he was going to send some pictures. I was lucky enough to find a little fork, and then he's still on camera holding the other side. So I'm really looking forward to finding a matching set on that one. But we got a nice 8-pointer, too, that's still holding. But a lot of deer sticking around that area. Like Pete, we did some clear cutting over the last 2 weekends in the old homestead area where we have had a couple of stands, but it's usually a good bedding area, usually a good there's a mix of hardwoods, and there's also some CRP and some chutes and funnels that come through there. And so we got our camera sitting there, and on average I probably have about 125 pictures a day.
Really?
Of deer. It's all deer. Like it just it's the same 4 deer, but 5, 6, whatever deer, but they're definitely sticking around that area, which is good for us for hunting season next year for sure.
Are you clear cutting everything in that area?
There was a lot of deadfalls. We had some had they said it was a tornado that came through somewhere around the area and knocked down some trees, but we just cleared a lot of the deadfalls, the undergrowth, and so hopefully we're getting some fresh undergrowth coming in there. But yeah, it's exciting. We just piled everything up, and naturally made ground blinds. Now we got about 15 ground blinds in there that we can choose which wind we want to sit on, but yeah, my dad's pretty proud of it. So
yeah, it's a lot of work.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of work.
Oh, man. Yeah, I went with Pete up to his property the other day and drove around this little, quote-unquote, little island that they have, and they went and clear-cut it to get some good growth to turn it into a little honey hole for bedding, and oh, my gosh, I just looked at it and I'm like, that's a lot of work.
We're probably going to have like 7 semi-loads of logs.
Yeah.
So I think it was a little more than what we thought originally, because even yesterday my brother's like, we done yet? I was like, we're about half.
So what we got set up for today, we'll kind of get going here, and just want to do a little preview of what's going on today. We got a little potluck. People brought a bunch of food, and we'll have some snacks for out in the field, and then we'll do a little potluck lunch after this, and then we got a little scoring system. But to figure out where we're going to go, Travis has kind of helped me come up with a little plan, and what we're going to do is we're going to divide the property up into quadrants. There's actually going to be 5 separate areas, and what we're going to do is we're going to have everybody get in groups of 6 or 5 or so, or whatever, how many ever people we have here. And then there'll be 5 different teams, and you're going to draw a number. And whatever number you get, that's the area that you can shed hunt. You can't go into anyone else's area. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. We got to divide it up into areas. And then we have the scoring system. First of all, I have a hit list of wanted bucks that are out there yet. Came up with some pretty good names for them. But those bucks are going to be worth something. Okay? But in a separate drawing for all the prizes and gifts that Domain and Arctic Shield has given us, we got a little scoring system that we're going to use. And this is how the scoring system is going to work. Okay? First of all, a scoreable point is defined as 1 inch from the center of the main beam. Sheds, this is another rule here, sheds in or around deer stands that are used for rattling antlers do not count. Travis made sure of that one. Okay? We're going to do some videoing of the recoveries, so you need to have video footage of the individual finding the shed in order to receive points. Okay? And what we're going to do, Travis, I think what we're going to do, being your mom's going to be staying back, we're going to have everyone send her videos and pictures. Okay? So she's going to end up being the judge in the end. She doesn't know this yet, but her phone's going to be dinging throughout the day here. She's going to be wondering what the heck's going on. But we'll have to send her those videos. And then all controversial situations, Uncle Steve has the final say on what it goes for, okay? So the top points, okay, in the system here, 25 points. The shed that surprises the hell out of Travis, that's worth 25 points. Okay, best video of finding a shed and the interview is worth 24 points. The third shed found of the day with the timestamp on the video, okay, is worth 21 points. If you find a shed from a previous year, that is worth 20 points. We can all tell what a shed is, from this year or last year. A shed that has a legal point that splits into another legal point, so a split, right, is worth 15 points. A match set is worth 13 points. 6 on one side is worth 12. A spike with no brow tine is worth 10. A 2-pointer is worth 7. 3-pointer is worth 6. A 4-pointer is worth 5. A 5-pointer is worth 4. A deadhead legal buck. Okay, a deadhead legal buck is worth 3. Any shed that has a chew mark on it is minus 1 point for every chew point that it has. Okay, so we'll have to figure that out. Miscellaneous objects found. Arrow. If you find an arrow, it's worth 7 points. A shell casing is worth 3. A turkey feather is worth 2. And the best cell phone picture of a rub is worth 5 points, and my wife Kaylee will be the judge of that. So that is the scoring system. So once we get back, we'll have a little, check-in and figure out the points, and we'll kind of base our gifts and prizes off the point system. But I think that'll be fun. I think what I want to do here in the future is get like a big grand prize for the top person and really spice things up a little bit. But for right now, this is what we're going with. I think we're going to have a lot of fun doing it. We're kids going to have some fun. We're going to get them some stickers and kind of get things cranked up. But I think for the most part, just looking around, most of the people are here. We're going to get ready and situated here. We got a few things to get organized yet before we go out there. But we're gonna pause the recording here, and we're gonna go out, do our shed hunt, and then we're gonna check back in with you guys to see how we did. But before we go, Travis, who's your pick? Who's it gonna be? Who's gonna have the top points of the day? Who's gonna be the top?
I probably got on. We got Ben this year. He's kind of a dark horse, maybe. My sister's new husband. Schnabs, he's always a good runner. He's got good eyes.
I heard Ben's been out there in all black clothing in the middle of the night, just scouting out where the sheds are. Pete, who's your guess? Who's it gonna be?
I'm gonna go with Vickers.
Josh is gonna get it.
Yep,
solid pick.
He's got a good eye. Seems like he's always finding them.
Mike, your pick.
I'm going to go with Ruckert this year. I think Ruckert's going to...
He's the wild card.
He's due.
He's the wild card.
I was going to go with Andrew Schnabel because he's already got a leg up in the race here. He was down in Iowa, shed hunting down there, and they found some tanks. But here's the difference. He's going to be looking for big sheds. He's going to overlook all the sheds around here.
He's not going to be looking for the Minnesota 11.
Yep, that's right. You look at it. I mean, you can rack up a lot of points with some spikes. I mean, 10 points a pop.
And there's a lot of them.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, that's the thing. We're setting everybody up for failure that goes down to Iowa and shed hunts.
I'm strictly looking for turkey feathers, 2 points every time.
Yeah, that's what I was going to come back with the whole
I might just catch a
pocket.
turkey, bring the whole thing back. I think how many turkey
It's a
feathers I
layup.
get off
Nice
that.
Oh, my whole backpack full.
I got a fan in the back of the truck.
Yeah, just start plucking. All right, you guys, we're going to pause it here. We're going to get out and do some shed hunting. We'll come back with you in a little bit. All right, that was the pre-shed hunt part of the podcast, and now we're joined back with everyone back at the shed, and we're going to retell some of the stories and some of the excitement that we experienced during the day when we were out in the woods looking for some sheds. All right.
Thank you.
We're back. We are back from our shed hunt, and if you're watching on YouTube, take a look at how many sheds we got in front of us. It was a blast out there, having the kids find some sheds, some newcomers find some sheds. We had a person today who is, I don't know how old he is. He's got to be in his mid-50s. Found his first shed ever. Pretty excited about it. We found a shed that is 3 years old. It was a good time. I think we all had a blast. Travis was in charge of which quadrant?
I was quadrant 2.
Quadrant 2?
Yep.
Pete was with myself. You were with quadrant 2 also, weren't you?
No, we were in 1.
You were in 1?
Yep.
Okay, how did yours end up, Mike?
I think we found 4 or 5 in there, and found the notorious Minnesota 11-pointer. I found 9 deadhead spikes. So that's an accomplishment in itself. That's like Billy Ray Cyrus there. It could have been me. It could have been me. So, you know?
Could have been me. Standing there with you. Could have been me. All right, so Mike went big. He went all in on deadhead spikes. So
Yeah.
we're going with the
Got to score points.
the point system. He said, you know what? I'm not even looking for big antlers. My strategy is going with straight deadhead spikes, and we'll see if it pays off.
Yeah,
we haven't
we'll see
done
what happens.
We haven't done the final tally yet on point system yet. But it sounds like Mike, you might be in the running, man.
Hey, we got some serious points.
Travis, give me the update in your quadrant.
Hang on. It was poor. That's a tough quadrant. It really is. It's
It's a grind over there. It's a grind.
like I've walked this all a lot, and that's always the toughest spot to find sheds. The sticks in there look like sheds. The curves, the coloring, it's tough. I had Josh in my group.
Sounds like an excuse.
We had Tucker, we had Case, and we struggled. We really did. We did find 2 though. We found 2 decent sheds, but
I'll tell you what, it's a struggle just looking for sheds in itself when you're you got a bunch of sticks and debris and whatnot. But it's even more of a struggle when you have kids with you and you're trying to hold them and they're trying to get away from you and they're obstructing your view and they're pulling you this way and that way. It's a grind. I would have to say if I wasn't carrying my daughter today, I probably would have found at least 20 more sheds.
Yeah,
At least 20. At least 20 more. No doubt in my mind. No doubt in my mind. But you know what, Travis? You guys had a pretty veteran crew over there. I mean, you had some veterans over there. Mark was over there with you, right?
no, he was in one with Mike.
Oh, he was with one. Okay.
yeah.
But Rucker was over there with you. Hannah's been there. I mean, she's a veteran. Even though she's only found 2, she's a veteran. She's been out and about.
Yeah, sure.
Well, needless to say, your quadrant probably came in last, but we don't know until the
I don't know,
total
man.
vote
I
don't know.
comes
I don't know
out.
if I'd go that far.
No, you don't think
I'm
so?
pretty sure we're negative.
You do the quick math. I got 27 points.
I think
You're right.
I think we're at negative
right.
11.
That's not a good one. I mean,
Negative
it's a good
I didn't want to go there, Pete.
Hey, I told Joe not to pick it up.
one.
I might have found it. I told him to leave it there, but he didn't listen.
Let's. I'm going to give a quick rundown on quadrant 3. I think we were quadrant 4. Well, quadrant 3 was north of us, and I called them up when we kind of got back to the vehicles, and they said that they found at least 7 sheds, 20 turkey feathers. Like, it was ridiculous what they found, and credit to them. They were just grinding out there today. They were grinding. They got after it, and when the final tally comes up, we'll see who the winner is, but I think they're definitely the front runners. And there was rookies out there. The rookies were out there, and a lot of people that haven't shed hunted that area were out there, and they hit it big. The size of the antlers weren't huge, but they got the quantity, and it'll be interesting to see where their tally is. But Pete was with myself. Chantel, our kids were out there, my wife Kaylee, our kids, my mom and dad, and we were doing good. We were doing really good. Pete's son, Weston, found a shed all by himself. I was on the phone with somebody, and all of a sudden, right in front of me, I hear Pete's son, Weston, say, "I found one." And sure enough, like 20 yards in front of me, there Weston has a shed. And how cool is that as a father to have your kid out there by himself and nobody helped him? Nobody helped him at all. And he found his own shed. How cool is that?
It's pretty cool. It's so much more exciting to see them find them versus any one of us.
They talk about the different stages of hunting, but even shed hunting, the different stages of shed hunting. Travis, we look back at, when we first started shed hunting. Your dad shed hunted a little bit. And then it kind of transitioned to us shed hunting, and it was kind of all about us just going out there like, hey, let's go, yep, let's go, and we were out there shed hunting. We'd find sheds, and it was cool. It is so cool to find a shed because you're sitting there looking. It's like, okay, what am I even doing out here? And all of a sudden, boom, there it is, and it pops. It's like, yes, this is what I'm doing out here. And now all of a sudden it's transitioned to, if you're watching on YouTube, if you look behind me, this is what it's transitioned to. Before, it just used to be Travis and myself, my brother Mark, his dad Steve. It was just us that were out here. And now, look what it's become. It's become a lot more. And your son Tucker this year, Travis, found some sheds all by himself too.
Yeah.
I mean, just talk about that a little bit.
Well, that day, that was a spot that we had walked a little bit. I found a couple out there. I left them out there because it's a lot funner letting the kids come out and picking them up, and you kind of video them and stuff, and seeing how long it takes them to find it. You put them in the right path, and so we actually found 2. Reed found that other one. Picked them up, got all jacked up. We kept walking. About 50 yards later, Tucker, an antler. I'm like,
yeah.
Wait a second. I don't know of any other ones out here. And sure shit, he found on his own. That was kind of cool.
It was, and I was with that day, and I think you and Steve both asked, like, did somebody find that for him? Like, no, that was all him. That was all him. Getting to our quadrant, Pete, started out, Weston found his.
Yep.
And as we continued, we got to that spot that we were talking about earlier in the podcast where they started logging. We got to that spot, and we just made a U-turn because they were actually in there logging today. And we made the U-turn. We whipped around. We started working our way back, and we started going. And I haven't found a shed all year. I found deadheads, but I haven't found sheds. And I was sitting there going, and all of a sudden I looked and I saw a circle. I saw a white circle. That's all I saw. And there's a lot of branches on the ground. We're in pines. It's strictly pine trees, red pine, mainly red pine. And all of a sudden I saw this circle, and I'm like, should I go over there and look, or should I keep walking? I'm like, I'm going to go over there and look. And then I saw a little white. I saw a little more white. And I'm like, that has to be a shed. I got closer. I'm like, yeah, that's definitely a shed. But all I saw was the pedicle, like of the shed, the circle looking right at me. And I walked over there and I saw it. And take it for what it's worth, people out there listening, okay? I saw this shed, and Pete and I were talking about this earlier on when we were shed hunting. Letting your kids develop an eye for sheds. Travis, you just alluded to it a little bit ago. Letting the kids find it. If you let the kids find the sheds, all of a sudden you start to develop an eye for it. We talked about this too. When you find a shed, throw the shed in the grass. Throw the shed in the sticks. Throw the shed in the leaves. Throw it in different areas when you find one, because then you kind of realize what it looks like, a shed laying in that area. And all of a sudden you start to develop an eye for what a shed looks like in that particular setting. And I saw this shed, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to get the camera rolling. And I called Weston and Harper over. I'm like, you guys come over here. And I was sitting there, and Harper's been a part of this game before. She knows how this game works, right? When I call her over, she knows what's going on. So she comes over, and I set a few things down on a log near the area, and I set them down, and all of a sudden they come over. I'm like, Harper, Weston, come over here. All of a sudden Harper, Weston come over, and all of a sudden I'm like, can you guys just help me look for sheds over here? And all of a sudden Harper's like, I bet it's over behind this log over here, because that's where I had all my stuff laying out. I said, no, nothing's over there. I said, why don't you guys just come this way? And all of a sudden Harper ended up finding it. But letting them find the shed, they start to develop that eye for it. That develops excitement for shed hunting. That develops an excitement for the outdoors. Because I'll tell you what, right now, my biggest struggle with my daughter is getting her off of this fake cell phone. And you know the only thing that trumps that adrenaline, that excitement, and that engagement is doing stuff that we just did today, guys. Doing stuff that we just did today. Getting them in the outdoors and getting them to find sheds and make it a big deal. Make it a big deal and let them find it, you know? And I saw that excitement in Weston's eyes today. I saw that excitement in my daughter's eyes today. I saw that in my daughter Ivy's eyes today. Just that excitement that she got out of finding the sheds. We've watched videos on it and all this stuff. And today they were able to do that again. So it was cool. I just backed up and let them find the shed, and they were able to see the shed and the pine needles, and it was in between two trees. What was cool about the shed that I found, it was in between two trees, really close together, and there was a rub on a tree. And it was a freshly rubbed. And my guess is that he was there trying to knock that antler off a little bit, and it laid right in between two trees, right down in the middle. And like I said, all I could see was the pedicle of it looking at me, and I just kind of investigated a little bit, and all of a sudden, boom, there it was. But it was cool finding it. It's even cooler when the kids can walk up to it, because the kids still get excited when you let them walk up to it. The one thing I want to piggyback off of this is there's nothing more that frustrates me. This is one of my pet peeves, okay? This is my pet peeve. So when you guys are out tracking a deer with me, okay, and I shoot a deer, or you guys shoot a deer, when we're out tracking it, if I'm helping you track a deer, I will never say, hey, there's your deer over there. I am going to set you up so that you are the one that finds your deer, so you have that adrenaline rush and find it. It's one of my pet peeves when I'm watching hunting shows on TV, when Joe Schmo is walking in front of the person that shot the deer and says, hey, your deer's over here. Why don't you come find it? You know what I mean? Like, I am the one that's going to say, oh, dang it. Oh, I found some blood over here. Why don't you come over this way? And then I'm going to let that person go in front of me like, oh, I bet he went this way, even if I see the deer. I bet the deer went this way. I see another drop of blood over there. Why don't you go look that way? And let them be the one that says, holy buckets, there he is. Like, let them find that deer. Let them feel that adrenaline rush, instead of being like, hey, Travis, why don't you come over here 150 yards? I found your deer. You know what I mean?
Here's a picture of it first.
Yeah, here's a picture. I'll send it to you. Why don't you wait for it here? It'll be sending shortly. Like, let that person experience that adrenaline rush and keep it low key, and then all of a sudden, boom, let that excitement take off, and then tackle your buddy for shooting that deer and finding it, you know? But that's kind of the way I go about shed hunting. Like, when I have the kids out and stuff, it's like, hey, why don't you guys come help me over here? I'm not going to tell you I found it. I'm not going to tell you where I found it. Why don't you guys get over here? But I think you guys did a great job today bringing the kids out here. You have 3 kids, Mike. Travis, you got 3. Pete, you got 2. I got 1. Sorry, I got 2. My bad.
Cut that.
2 that I know of. One that I know of. 2 I get. But anyways, I have 2, and it was a blast. It's a lot of work when you bring the kids out. But you know what, Pete, we've talked about this before. It's so much more enjoyable when you're able to go out in the outdoors with somebody else rather than by yourself.
Right.
When you're by yourself, it isn't as fun.
Right. I mean, the whole first half of the woods that we walked, I don't even think I even looked for sheds because I was watching the kids the whole time pretty much. Mm-hmm. And then they started finding them themselves, and that was pretty fun.
It's one of those things, too. Like, I got a property now. I got 40 acres, and I've walked it a little bit, more or less just to go out there and burn some energy. I'm done coaching basketball now and finally get home before the sun's down. And it's nice to go out there, but it's not as fun by yourself.
No.
It's bringing extra people out there and just communicating. You know, as you're walking down rows of trees or whatever, BSing back and forth. Or today, we're sitting there walking, and all of a sudden, Pete and I heard a bunch of people yelling and hollering, and here Ruckert found a shed. So we start sprinting across over the other side.
You made me sprint.
Oh, yeah. It was a nice little half of a 9 point, you know.
We'll say that it was okay. That was nice.
And then right after that, let's get to this story right here. One of the nicest sheds we found on the day. I mean, take it for what it's worth.
Really.
Even though it's
Point
a lot of
It's a negative,
a lot of
negative
deductions.
11.
The biggest shed on the day is negative 11 points.
Yes.
Based, we're going off of the NCAA, Final Four, Division I football standards here. You know, we're going off that criteria. So whoever's getting in the Final Four depends on what the judges say. But Pete found a shed today that is a match set. Travis, hold this up here once. To the shed that Travis found last year, which was a year old last year already. So Pete found a shed this year that was 2 years old. Travis found the other half last year that was a year old already, which was a really nice deer. I mean, I would put him in the upper 140s probably.
Yeah.
Yep.
Upper 140s, 150. But for around here, central Minnesota, that's a dang good deer right there. Travis, what's the history on that guy?
Well, I think I would assume this is that buck because we don't get many deer at this size around. But so he got shot the year after this. That the landowners where we found these sheds got him, and that was probably the biggest buck they've ever shot out there. It was probably a 150-ish 10 point. He didn't get a whole lot bigger, but he was significantly bigger. And I actually was seeing that buck a couple of times in our willows that fall. I actually got some video of him, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, you did. Yep, I remember you sharing that with me.
But yeah, then just never got on him.
And the thing is, what I like to do is, I mean, these guys probably all think I'm idiots. I've told this 15 times already. But where Travis found that deer, I kind of, I visualize where the deer is and where it wants to go. And where Travis found that shed was kind of like a bedding area. And I was like, okay, the nearest food to here is to the south. He had to have been traveling back and forth, north to south. And I went to the south, and I followed trails, and I couldn't find them. And the further west I went on those north and south trails, it started getting a little more thick. I'm like, I don't think he went through here. Well, guess where we found him? In the thicker stuff to the west that I didn't go to. And Obviously, there's where he was.
Hard work pays off.
Yes,
Joe.
it does, Peter. But that's what was in my mind, and I was probably 60, 80 yards off from where I was visualizing him going through. But it's cool putting the piece of the puzzles together. The cool thing is a lot of the deer that we have found, like Shorty Gertz, he's still out there.
Right.
He's still out there. I'm trying to look for Shorty right now. There's Shorthorn right here. I found this guy. If you're looking on YouTube right now, this is the buck that I found. Well, actually, Harper found. This is the one that I ended up finding. The reason why I call him Shorty Gertz is because you look at his brow tines. He's got split brow tines, but they're pretty short.
Shorthorn.
I know a lot of you out there probably don't know who Shorty Gertz is, but around here in central Minnesota, we know who Shorthorn is. Mike, I'm going to cut you loose.
Yep.
I want you to go get the other Mike Call, and bring him over here because he found his first shed ever, and I want to talk to him a little bit about it.
Sounds good.
During this time right now, I just want to give a shout out to Domain. We got the recharge here. What I like about what they did this year is the recharge was in a bag, I believe, and now they put it in a bucket. You know how nice it is to have these pails to put things in. Like you can use it for multiple things. So that's kind of cool. You got the recharge. Somebody's going to win that tonight. We got the Dirty Bird over here on this side. I know Josh is pretty excited about that. He wants to win that. We got Showstopper. We got Big Sexy. We got Comeback Kid. We got a lot of different things that we're going to be giving away today. We got Arctic Shields, boot warmers. Just a lot of fun gifts that we're going to give away thanks to our sponsors. And this is what kind of makes that day, too, so much more enjoyable. Having those people supporting us and doing what we do. Right now, we have an individual with us. It's our Uncle Mike, Travis and myself, Uncle Mike here. Mike, you did something today that you've never done before.
Found horns when I was actually looking for them.
Mike's been out here shed hunting with us before and hasn't really found one.
Nope.
And today was his lucky day. But before we get into it, Mike, the story of the shed that you found, which is one of the biggest sheds that we found today. If you're looking on YouTube, we're holding it up right now. Mike's got it. Really nice, half of an 8-pointer.
Yep. This is what I saw sitting all the weeds.
That's crazy.
Yep.
That is crazy. Mike, you've done a lot for our family over the years, and I just want to point this out because just like Steve, being able to go out on pops and do what we do out there, you've got a lot of opportunities that you've given our family throughout the years of hunting and gathering and all those things. And I just want to give a shout out to you and thank you for everything that you've done throughout the years to continue to kind of keep a tight-knit family together and continue to enjoy the outdoors. I know I've borrowed multiple things from you, whether it's planters, tractors, tillers, brush hogs, you name it. You're very generous with what you have. You've worked hard for everything that you have right now, and you're very generous when it comes to lending those things out. So I just want to thank you for everything that you've done to keep the tradition going. And I just wanted to point that out before we talk anything shed hunting. So I appreciate what you've done.
It definitely keeps the family together, all the things we're doing around here with the hunting and the shed hunting, working the food plots, everything else. It brings the family back together again.
It's cool to see, like Pete, and I'm not going to lie, you have a lot of resources. You have a lot of equipment. Mike, you have a lot of resources. You have a lot of equipment. Travis, you have a lot of resources, a lot of equipment. I don't have that. Other people in this building right now do not have that. But you guys are the first ones to be like, hey, you need to borrow it? Go for it.
Yep.
And I cannot begin to tell you how much that means to myself. That means to the people that you borrow it to. it just means a lot, and that's what makes all of this today. Like I said, if you're watching on YouTube, all the people behind us, it's because of people like these guys right here that keep it going. Because I know there's a lot of families that end up becoming, this group's over here, this group's over there, but this group here is really tight-knit because of the type of attitude that you guys have and the selflessness that you guys have to continue to just keep things rolling. Like Travis said in one of our previous podcasts, shed hunting, deer hunting, it's like a holiday. It's a holiday around here.
Yep.
And it's so fun. It's a blast. But let's get into your find today, Mike. So we went in a spot today that Travis knew, historically, trail cameras, all that stuff, where we're going to find sheds. And as you look in front of us right now, we have a ton of sheds in front of us. We also have another property. Mike has another property that he leases, correct?
Yep.
And then Mike's brother owns another piece that butts up to it. So it's a 40 and a 40, which makes an 80. And they were out there looking today after we were in the area where Travis thought we'd find a bunch of sheds. And we met together, and then these guys said, we're going to go look on this other property, and we'll meet back at the shed. And we're like, perfect, sounds good. And all of a sudden, Mike, I get a text message from John with a picture of you holding a really good half of an 8-pointer, and I'm like, no freaking way. Why don't you walk us through maybe your history of shed hunting? Because I know it hasn't been a whole lot, but leading up to this point today and then how this kind of all came about.
Well, thank you for putting it all together every year. But, as far as shed hunting, it's most of the horns I've found have been in the fall when I'm actually hunting or out west, that type of thing. But this one day, typically is busy in the morning, so I don't get a chance to come out right away with it, but I'd like to be part of it anyway. And so I knew there's definitely potential. A lot of deer wintered out on that 80-acre piece. So I figured the potential of something being out there is pretty good. So give it a try and keep looking around. And one of the spots I decided to check out was the old water hole. And saw those horns sticking up out of the grasses a little bit. It's kind of like, whoa, that's what they look like.
Now you went to that spot. Why? What led you to the water hole?
Just thinking that's where deer going to find some moisture. They're going to be looking for that, so that'd be good. We were basically walking the trails, looking around and walking fence lines, that type of thing, hoping to find something. So I figured water holes is something that brings them all together. Good chance something to be down there, so I got lucky.
I know when we were walking, Pete, you were pretty close to me, and you get to those spots where you have edges, right? You have edges, you have tall grass, and I know, Travis, we've seen this numerous times. All of a sudden we get into a spot where all of a sudden there's an opening, there's tall grass. It's like, all right, who's going to find it? It's all of a sudden like you're a bird dog. You're just ready to rock and roll. And that's kind of what those water holes are. Like you said, like, you all of a sudden start thinking like a deer, like, okay, this is where deer usually congregate. They got to go for water at some point. Let's go check it out. There was some grass around it.
Yeah, yep.
How much of the antler was exposed to you when you found it?
Like I say, this is what was sticking out. Basically, that's what I could see from this part up. And this part here was sticking out of the water, but this was below water
So
line.
from here on up, basically, on the G2?
Wrap this, and then this from here on up.
So
basically in water like this here.
Yeah. So basically the main beam brow tine coming up the G2 was all submerged underwater. 3/4 of the way up the G2 was exposed, and then the G3 and 4, the main beam, was sticking out. So basically you saw 3 little points basically sticking out.
This is what caught my eye.
Yeah.
That's the part sticking out of the grass. Like, whoa, there's orange.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Oh, that was fun.
How old do we figure that deer is? I mean, that shed, I should say.
Well, we're talking about there's definitely some damage from mice here. So the stuff that was exposed out of the water got some. So I'm guessing it probably was in there for a year already.
At least, yep.
Yeah, I'd say probably closer to 2 years, I think.
I mean, it almost feels like hollow already.
It's really sun faded, and I would say it's a couple of years maybe, but
Yeah.
it's for sure a year.
For sure a year. Yep, for sure a year, no doubt. But that's, I mean, if you put that deer together, I mean, you're looking at close to, I mean, around that 130 mark for an 8-point, which is pretty dang good.
Yep.
But for those of you that have not shed hunted before, and even myself today was the first day I found a shed all year, and I found numerous sheds before. The coolest thing about finding sheds is that, excluding the situation that we just talked about, I mean, that deer could be dead already. You never know. But when you find a fresh shed, it's like, okay, sweet, this deer's going to be a year older. But also on top of that, if you look at this buck right here that I'm holding up right now, that Pete found this year and Travis found last year, this brings closure. It brings closure to, okay, I found this side. Whatever happened to that other side? Like, you're always wondering, whatever happened to that other side? All of a sudden, boom, there it is. It's like, okay, case closed, finally. I can finally relax. It's done and over with. But it's one of those things where you just continue to think about, like the shed that I found, Shorty Gertz. All right, Travis, guess what? Get your walking shoes on, man. You got to go find that other half. Like, it's not over. You got to keep going, and I don't know. That's just the way I'm wired. It's like, okay, the job's not done. I've only found one half. I got to find that other half now. What's your thought process going forward now, Travis? Because you got some time here. I mean, you've had a really good winter. You got a lot of time left here yet. What's your thought process on shed hunting now from here on out?
Hang on a second. I don't know, actually, I haven't looked for sheds for 2 weeks now. The weather got so nice. We got into field work and stuff and picking rocks. I really haven't thought about sheds a whole lot. But it's supposed to get cold here again the next week. And, I'm going to go walk the thick spots where, in the areas where these were, just where if you walk once, if you're 1-2 rows off, you could miss something pretty easily. Gonna hit them spots up, and just the random spots that you typically don't find sheds because we had no snow this year. They're going to be very random, I think.
Very spread out.
That's the thing, and we had some friends of ours that sent us pictures today, and one of them's on our most wanted list that we have, Shrek, and I think we talked about this before in the previous podcast, but Travis gave this buck the name Shrek. We talked about his age. How old do you think he is, Travis?
Over 5 for sure.
Yeah,
like a 5-6-year-old deer,
no doubt. And I would side. I would have to say he's over that. I mean, that's just where I'm at. I mean, the pictures that I see of him, big stomach, nasty rack. Brow tines are taller than his G2s and 3s, and one of our buddies found his shed, one of his sheds, this last week and sent it to us. We call him Shrek because he lives in the swamp. That's where he is. But it's all part of the puzzle. It's all part of the story, and that's what makes it so fun. I'm going to be going out to South Dakota here in a few weeks with a couple of my uncles. We're going to go out there, do some turkey hunting, some shed hunting, also putting some stands and strategies together for this fall. But it's fun going out, doing the shed hunting. It's extremely fun finding the sheds. But it's also fun getting everybody together. How often do we get together other than holidays to do stuff like this? It's a good time. Travis, I'm going to cut you loose. I want you to go get your brother-in-law, Ben, because he's got one story to tell about something that he found today that's I think is worth discussing.
We'll get him.
But I
that's what, one of the things with shed hunting too is you can take your family, your kids out there. It's the time of the year that you can wander the woods
and not care.
Yeah, you can let the kids be kids. Everyone can be loud. You can, stop and have a sandwich break in the middle of the woods and enjoy the day. And you don't have to worry about anything. There's a lot of spots that you're walking shed hunting that you could all of a sudden go, oh, I should have had a stand here 10 years ago.
Yep.
Or you see different things, but and also you can just get your family out in the woods and enjoy it.
You know what's cool, Mike? You probably didn't even think about this, but where did you find that shed today? Next to what? Waterhole.
Yep.
What did you do on your new property this last year?
Just dug a water hole yesterday.
Exactly, right? Like that's what I'm talking about right there. It's like all of a sudden you start seeing the connections. It's like water hole, boom, shed, boom. You just dug a water hole. Guess what that means? Like you're going to be attracting deer to those areas.
Yep.
It's phenomenal to connect those dots and see things work in that direction.
Sitting in a deer stand last fall, I was thinking, okay, so where's the closest water for these deer to be drinking? And my guess is at least half mile, 3/4 mile away. I mean, everything was dry out there. So the swamps were dry. You could walk anywhere you want to it. And it's kind of like, if I had water here, it'd be a magnet in years like this.
Yeah. Plus, when you dig a water hole, and this is a very argumental piece, but there's a lot of people that say, well, deer don't need water because they have a swamp. Well, do you want to drink out of a dish that the water's been sitting in your yard for 2 weeks and it's got algae on it, or you want to have a clean water source that's just, that's naturally coming out of the ground? It's a lot healthier source of, and it's a big difference for their health. I mean,
yep, not just for the deer too. Hopefully we'll get some duck's nest around there too. And
right, it's for everything. Pheasants and everything needs water.
Yep.
You look at what is your water hole right off of? It's right off of a food plot.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
I mean, you combine water with food and
right next to it's 80-acre field.
Yeah, exactly.
So
that's that transition area.
All the corn that's in that field, when the deer get thirsty, they're going to come to my water hole, hopefully.
Yep.
And all you're doing is stacking the odds in your favor.
Yep.
That's all you're doing. You're adding one more piece of the puzzle right there for the deer. And, yeah, you can't go wrong. How did you dig that water hole? What did you end up doing to dig that? What'd you use or what'd you do?
Oh, I had Ryan come in with his backhoe.
So it was a backhoe that came in?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Friend of yours, or who was that?
Yeah, he's a local contractor over Welton.
Okay.
Ryan Rosa.
Okay.
Yep, he dug mine too.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Is that the ditches you were talking about?
He dug my ditches. He dug my pond up at my land that we just put into.
I think this is worth taking a little segment here. Pete, tell me about the amount of pictures that you got around that water hole this year on your property.
Well, I dug. Yeah, the new one that we just dug this year is unbelievable. There'd be 10 to 15 deer, 20 deer in every single picture. And we never had, we have swamps and everything, and I didn't really realize until, you always know water source is big, but I have a gravel pit up there too, and Dave Sayre needed clay, so he dug a pond and leveled it all off for the clay about 5 or 6 years ago, and that's just been lights out. So then I dug another pond. Ryan Moroja came out this last fall and dug that on a different piece, and we actually plan on putting 2 or 3 more in this summer, and just spread them out on the property. It really doesn't cost. I think that pond costs us like $1,400 or $1,300, which isn't really that much money when it's 6 to 8 feet deep, and it's pretty big.
Well, if you want to stack the odds in your favor,
right?
Spend a little money, make it work, and the other thing too is people and you're good to people and all that stuff. You might have a good buddy that has something and you can make something work. But right now we're joined by Travis's new addition to the family here, the brother-in-law, Ben Toma, teammate of mine. And Ben, you've been a part of this group now for a few years. Did you do the shed hunt with us before?
I did last year. Would have been my first year doing it.
Last year was the first year?
Yep.
I don't remember a lot about last year's shed hunt, but that's neither here nor there. But have you found a shed yet out on our shed hunt?
I did. Today was my first. Actually, I don't know if I found one last year or not, but I found one about 10 steps in today.
I do remember that now because my phone dinged right away. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. And all of a sudden I looked, and it was the buck that I have my eyes on right now, and it's Forky Pig.
Yep.
It's Forky Pig, and you found him. The best part about this is that the other side is still out there. All he is a fork. He has no brow tines.
Yep.
He's got forks, and that is it. And he found half a Forky Pig. I'm going to let you know right now, you're going to win a prize because you found half a Forky Pig. So you're in the money right now.
There we
Ben.
go. We're
You're in
sitting
the money.
good. We're sitting good.
Ben found something today that we have never found in the history of shed hunting, our properties, our permission properties, whatever. And we've been shed hunting for a long time. I mean, when I first started shed hunting, I was probably I wasn't out of high school. I know that, and I'm 30. Oh shoot, dang, 8 or 9. I'm not sure, Mike. I don't know what I am. I think I'm 30. I think I'm 38. I'll be 39 this year. But Ben, you found something today that we have never found before. Why don't you kind of give us a story on it, how you walked up on it, how you came upon it?
Yeah, I was just walking through the woods. I was actually following a pretty good trail. And I looked to my right, and it was actually up on top of a gopher mound.
Oh, really?
And it was kind of tucked under some grass and stuff like that. And I looked, and I was like, what the heck? And then I looked again, and I saw some rust-colored, some iron or something. I looked, I was like, what? I don't know. It must have been a piece of machinery or something. And I see a chain on it. And I grab it by the chain, and sure enough, it's a trap. And I looked at the trap, and I was like, oh, that's kind of neat, and I start to look at it a little more, look at it a little closer, and it must be some feet in the trap,
There's bones there, man.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's a successful trap. It must have been, something must have eaten away or dug away at the stake.
Did you see this yet, Mike?
No, I didn't.
Drug it with.
Take a look at that. Read that name.
Fiddler.
Do you know that individual?
Yep. Well, if it's forget it was always Mr. Fiddler.
This is Mark Fiddler.
Mark Fiddler.
Okay. No, I don't know him.
He's from Rice, it says.
Passed away, I don't know how many years ago, but he passed away. I called up Andy because he knows Mitch Fiddler or whatever.
Oh, okay.
That crew.
Okay.
And he passed away, I don't know how many years ago. But this is his trap. And my guess is he set the trap and must have passed away or whatever, and that trap is still out there. But I'm holding it up right now. And if you're watching on YouTube, you can see the bone particles that are in this trap. It was set, and there are bones in here, which is amazing. Crazy. Just the history behind this, the individual, he's no longer here with us, set the trap. He went out there, he did the hard work to set the trap, and he was successful, found something, but obviously wasn't able to recover it. Now, the other thing is, this obviously was near it. Ben?
That was actually from Steve.
Steve found this?
He had found that a few years back with a raccoon paw stuck inside.
Oh my gosh!
Does that have a tag on it too?
What's that one say? All right, we're reading this for the first time. If it is,
it's just got his Minnesota DNR number.
So there's just a DNR number on there.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. It is the paw in there. So I thought it was the teeth in there, but it's not. You can see the claws in there.
Right.
Inside of the trap. You see the claws inside there?
Yep.
So the claws in there reached in there to try to get whatever it was, whatever bait was in there, and snapped it. And crazy. Absolutely crazy. I would have to assume it was probably the same individual that had these traps set. But, yeah, crazy finds. You just never know what you're going to find when you're out there shed hunting. The grass is low because of the winter, everything dying off. Even like the situation where you found that buck today.
Yeah. Well, the other thing I picked up today was a lot of garbage.
Yeah, right.
So that's a good opportunity to do that stuff too.
Kaylee mentioned that today too. We should have a point system for all the litter that we find out on the ground. But yeah, no, it was a blast today. We got the kids out. We got everybody back together again. As everyone knows, life goes too fast, and when you have an opportunity to bring everybody together, you can't beat it. And it was just a fun day today. We're gonna get going now with our prizes. We're gonna give those away. We're gonna have some pizza and some food and some potluck stuff, and yeah, we're gonna enjoy the rest of the day. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of the day. I thank you guys for tuning in and listening. Thanks, guys, for being here and joining me. Appreciate it. And till next time, we'll catch you later. And there you have it. That is a wrap. Another year in the books for our family and friends shed hunt. We gave away a lot of prizes from Domain and Arctic Shield. What a day it was. It is a very special day for our family that I know is just going to continue to grow and get better. And we just really enjoy being outdoors, being together as a family, and just creating those memories, not only for ourselves, but also for our kids. And that's what it's about. And that's what we love about the outdoors. It's the memories that you make. Like I mentioned, just giving a shout out to our partners to top things off: Arctic Shield, Domain, also Fourth Arrow Camera Arms, J&R Outdoors, and Tact Cam. We appreciate everything you guys do for us. We appreciate you guys, the listeners, our family and friends, and everybody out there that support us in what we do. And thanks for listening, and I hope you guys have a great day.